I wanted to do this one on Delphia and Grandma and Mom and Dad. I can't remember if I told you there were things with. There was a time where Grandmother couldn't get Delphia to say that Delphia liked her. And I can't remember, I don't remember if I told you this or not, but Mom and I had to go over, and I can't remember if it was in the 60s and we went to the house on Woodland, or if Grandmother was already in the apartment. Um, I think I told you this, but I'm not sure. Anyway, so we went over and we got Delphia finally. It took us a while for to say that she liked Grandmother. And then Delphia came back some weeks later and said, I don't really feel that. You shouldn't have made me. So we went through that. Grandmother also paid for Delphia's dentures, and Delphia had to do a lot of arm twisting to get that accomplished. But Grandmother paid it. There was something happened, and they ended up costing more than Delphia had originally thought. And Delphia said, "Well, that's not my fault. I didn't, you know." And Delphia had to say things like, "If you don't do this for me, I'm not going to. They're going to take all my teeth. I'm not going to be able to eat." So, but Grandmother paid it. Um, Grandmother liked Delphia. Uh, she, Grandmother was difficult, loving for me. Grandmother, I was it for Grandma. I was what she would bend for. Otherwise, this is how it is, and this is the way it's going to be. Um, she could be funny. Anyway, so I'd like to do the story of Delphia and Grandmother. I think that Delphia's last name was Robinson. I may be wrong. When Grandmother moved into the apartment, like I said, I don't know if that's when they had this argument about who likes who. But the doorman ended up being Delphia's husband. I think I told you this too. I think his name was Charles, but now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think it was. As a coda or an ending, I don't know what. Towards the end of their relationship, Delphia had a party, and I don't remember how it worked, but I think I went. She didn't think I would, but I did. So I must have been older because I went by myself, so I had to be driving. They were there. I don't know, maybe I dreamed this going to the party bit, because in it I told them I admitted that I was gay, or they guessed, and there was ribbing of me, and I couldn't take it, and it was hard. They treated me like a prince for a while, and I said, that's making me uncomfortable, and they said, well, we have to do this because you wouldn't be comfortable with the way we are. And then I said, well, show me, so that I know. And I don't know, maybe that was the party was a dream. I don't know. Anyway, now I'd like to talk about Mom and Dad and Polly. First of all, my mom was something special. She was stylish, she was witty, she was together, she kept that house clean. She was a little slow, she was always late to things. I don't know what that was. I mean, she could start at 9 o'clock and she had to be someplace at 11, and so she would start getting ready at 9, and she wouldn't be out the door until 10 of 11. I don't know. Every time, no matter what she was doing. And I inherited that from her when I was younger. I became much better in my middle years. Well, from the time I went, I would say my junior year in high school, all the way until I came back to live with her, I guess. Although I was the one that kept her on time to get to church, to get to the loshes when we were there. Lately, I've kind of gone back into being slovenly again about time, but I'm having trouble with my memory. So anyway, she was cool, and all the kids in the neighborhood loved her and wanted, I mean, they loved their parents too, but all wanted to have her because she was the cool mom. She when we moved into the house on 28th Street, she, after a while, she wanted a domestic. Um, she'd grown up. Grandmother had had Delphia, and other women in her social class, if you will, were getting domestic help, and she wanted it too. And she had to argue with my dad about it, and he finally agreed. And she interviewed people, and she chose Polly, and she was nervous about this. And Polly came, and Polly was extraordinary. She was a hard worker, and like I said, when the cleaning ladies were there, mother and grandmother were working alongside them, either doing the same task or other things. They weren't in there waiting for bonbons to be delivered to them. Um, so my mom kept that house. I mean, you could eat off her floors, really, honest to God. So anyway, Polly came, and Polly did extraordinary things. I can't remember if I told you about the whole Mrs. Johnson thing. I loved Mrs. Johnson. I was the eldest child. I got to choose the babysitter. I'd often choose Mrs. Johnson. Mrs. Johnson was a horrible woman. And I saw that at the end. If I told you this story, I'm sorry. There was a big jar of strawberry jam that she dropped, and she didn't clean it up. She expected Polly to clean it. And when Mother confronted her about Polly, said, "Look at what she's done," and she wouldn't clean it, and she told me to clean it, and she told me in a way that I do not accept being spoken to the way she spoke to me. And so Mother confronted Mrs. Johnson, and Mrs. Johnson said, "Well, she's, I don't remember the words she used, but she was inferring that she's a black woman, so she should be cleaning up all the messy stuff." So, and Polly was there to clean. Polly would take us for walks because Mrs. Johnson wouldn't, because she wanted to watch her soap operas. So there was that. There came a point, Mom wanted a cleaning lady. There was a status thing there in that. But she realized that Polly was her friend, that she and Polly had become friends. And she said this to Polly, you have become one of my good friends. And Polly was amazed at this and appreciative. Polly hoped that Mom and Dad would become accessible, and then Polly could become their housekeeper. And I don't want you thinking that Polly thought of herself only as a servant, but that's how she wanted to pay back Mom for her friendship, because my mom's friendship meant a lot to Polly, and Polly's friendship meant a lot to Mom, and Mom learned a lot from Polly. I don't want to, if I ever write this script about those four women, Polly was cool too, and it's so nice that they found each other. I can't remember why Polly decided she had to move. Maybe her marriage collapsed. It might have been that, I'm kind of thinking. Maybe not. I may be wrong on that. Anyway, her daughter wanted to move to California, and they did. And I know that Polly came back and said that she wasn't that happy in Los Angeles, that it was rough there, but she didn't stay back here in Des Moines. She went back to Los Angeles because that's where her daughter wanted to be. And I don't remember where she lived there, and I don't remember Polly's last name. But anyway, the sad thing, I remember too, my mom and dad were terribly in love with each other. Well, terribly in love. They were just, and Molly and Kurt, I don't know if they saw that. They were so young. But what happened to my mom and dad's marriage is my dad, I don't know, he couldn't have been too terrible when Mom married him in college, but he started lying just all the time. No, just stupid lies that you could catch him in like that all the time. It began to affect his business. I could see it. I like to have friends over, but I stopped wanting them to come over on the weekends when Dad was home because he would lie, and they would catch him at it. It just stupid. I cannot tell you how stupid the lies were. And it's like he couldn't control himself. And now Mom didn't say, okay, I'm going to deny your father sex, but that's what she did. She denied him sex until he stopped, lying all the time. and it worked. He stopped, and it got better, and they were fine, and the marriage was working, and they were happy, and then there were all the kids, and they were dealing with it, but he started up again. He started lying to workers and to business associates and to us, just again, to where it's like he would come in and walk in, pour himself a glass of milk, leave the milk carton out on the counter, drink the milk, put the glass in the sink, and then go away. And then Mother would come in and say, "Did you leave the milk out?" And he'd say, "No, I didn't have any milk." The milk was out. The glass was in the sink. Sean, Molly, Kurt, and I were not strong enough to get milk out of the refrigerator and put it up on the counter, or big enough, the only person it could have been was him, and we'd all seen him drink it, so he just couldn't help himself. And again, she denied him sex, and he was weak and had an affair, and this destroyed her. This destroyed my mother. Now, there were nights, of course, there was a terrible, terrible divorce where he did horrible things to hurt us because he was so upset. He was mad at himself. He felt small. He did petty, stupid things. Like one night there was a babysitter, and she wouldn't let him in because she didn't know what the protocol should be, should she let the ex-husband in. So he was outside, so he turned the faucets on the hose on outside and let them run. So the water bill went up, which he was paying. I don't know. Anyway, so there was that, but it destroyed her because he was unfaithful because she wasn't giving him sex. And this did terrible things to her. Now, there were dark nights, of course, because there was a divorce, the end of a marriage with 4 kids, and you didn't see it. I certainly didn't for many years, how it broke her. Because she seemed, after the initial shock and the depression about the divorce and all, she said to me at one time, "This is not how my life was supposed to be." I don't know, she let it affect her in ways. It destroyed her. Guilt. But they were so in love, and he was cool too. Now, he was far less assured than she was, but he was funny, and he was goofy, and he made me laugh, and he made her laugh, and he made other people laugh. But he was so insecure. I remember when I was pretty small, I think she'd had Kurt. No, Kurt wasn't there yet. She had Polly. I know, because she and Polly prepared for this. But they were having a big party for his associates from work. And he just ragged on her. And the party, now, I was put to bed, of course. I think I was allowed to see a few of the guests come. But the people came, whoever they were. And they were bigwigs. They were above him, and he wanted to impress them. That was important to him. Again, this is a guy that grew up in the 30s and the 40s, and a young man in the 50s and 60s. And he didn't know, he didn't have a center for himself. So he was always looking outside to try to figure out how to be a man. That damn stuff that there's one way to be a man and one way to be a woman. And that's what destroyed him. He didn't have enough strength in himself. He hadn't found himself, and he kept looking outside and kept looking for the norms are this. I remember he came home once and said, "You never have a drink ready for me when I come home. Such and such his wife. He comes home, she has dinner ready and the drinks, and the kids are ready for bed. He can pat them on the head and send them to bed, and then in his time, she takes his shoes off." All that kind of crap that's from the 50s, that you were supposed to do. Well, I wish Molly and Kurt could have seen them. I wish, and Sean. I mean, they were there, but they were so small. I was small. When he was lying, Mom told me, If you catch him lying, you tell me. Now, I tried to do something, I don't remember what, and make him be the bad guy when it wasn't lying, And she said, no, he's your father, you respect him. If you catch him lying, that's what we're fighting here. We're not belittling him just to belittle him. You're the boy. You're the son. Of course, she shouldn't have done that. She shouldn't have involved me. I don't know. Denying him sex, trying to change him, but it was affecting his work badly. I don't know. They had so much potential. And I did too. What happened to me? What happened to the boy that fought for Gloria? I'm taken care of now by the state. My family's had to take care of me. I let things slide. I didn't fight about being gay and fight out about that. I was blind about how things are for minorities, even though I was a minority. I didn't see how bad things were for African Americans until Katrina and that whole mess in the dome. That's when I realized, and then I began looking at other things. I don't know. It's just, but what happened to that boy that fought for Gloria? That boy that, if it's true that I went to that party, that did that. What happened to him? Where did he go? I mean, I don't know. Little Gloria didn't have a condo in Boca and a pension fund, so, I fought for her. I didn't fight for that guy that had more money than I did and a house, Maybe, well, I don't know. That's what happened to the three of us. We tried to fit in. I think that's my fault too. I had a bad experience, I broke down, and then I just gave up. That's what happened to me. And that's what happened to Mom and Dad. Well, they're gone now. I don't know. Sometimes life's just poopy and you gotta deal with it. Oh well, I wanted to say that. Take care. Bye-bye.